Do you feel life is becoming more complicated for most people? Answer. About the world we are living in, I would say it's a mixed bag, a melting pot where our technology, freedom, and wealth are at a point never seen before in history. It's where we are on the cusp of greatness, but also again on the verge of a massive crash. For me, it's really hard to tell whether this much vaunted age of high speed internet connections and other technical wizardry is more or less complex and stressful compared to the past because each era has its own boons and banes. Let's talk about technology first. Over the years, technology has metamorphosed our perspective of the world. With the advent of the computer, we have fully entered into Siberia, a state without a direct physicality. Everything we encounter in digital media is a second order representation given to us by ingenious devices that speak their own programming language inaccessible to humanity, but wholly dependent on us for its existence. This is a machine world built to service us, even as we find new uses for them. Modern technology has also made it possible for the discovery of many functional and utility devices like the smartwatch and the smartphone, such commonplace marvels of modernity. However, the fact that complexity often goes with and involves greater interconnectivity and interlinkage increases the likelihood that one thing malfunctioning or failing will lead to other things not working. In the extreme case, the praiseworthy interconnectivity can result in a cascade effect in which one failure carries a series of other secondary failures, the kind of systemic failure entailing the breakdown of an entire complex system or organization due to an initial trivial glitch. This is coupled with the fact that technology is also destroying us, the young generation, by turning us into cyborgs of a sort whose cyberspace is vast, unexplored, mechanized wasteland that stands apart from human existence. We are also well on our way to the type of Big Brother dystopia of the techno-utopians, where innovations have pushed out the complexity frontier beyond which the costs exceed the benefits. Just look at the state of us. Our toxic, sedentary lifestyles are causing industrial scale afflictions of cancer, mental illness, obesity, heart disease, and food intolerances. Along with those slow killers, loneliness, clock watching, and meaninglessness. We seem to spend more time watching porn than we do making love. Relationships are breaking down because we stare into screens instead of eyes, while social media are making us antisocial. How weary, stale, flat, unprofitable, and pernicious. Regarding traditional mores, the baby boom generation, particularly those living in Asia, used to live under the domination of male chauvinism and patriarchalism, where there was no room for women to have a say or display their talents. They were marginalized, restricted from participating in various realms of social life through social stipulations that they remained indoors and denied access to education. Nonetheless, these are just something of an anachronism these days, as the modern society has gradually said goodbye to those antiquated views. Women have made enormous strides and shattered the glass ceiling to become entrepreneurs, bishops, stateswomen, and movie makers, to work in male dominated industries such as STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, in other words, and politics. And men and women now share equally in child rearing. Having said that, the past did possess some beautiful, well-established customs and values that deserve preservation. For example, worshiping ancestors, cherishing time-honored traditions, bequeathing legacies, venerating teachers, and commemorating the deceased who had worked for the betterment of society as a whole. Those were the days when people had more time to recharge their batteries after hard work with precious memories of the whole night concerts and family get togethers to admire languid sunsets. This is, of course, something that can hardly be seen in this ever changing world where we are stuck in the rat race, working our fingers to the bone in order not to lag behind. But for much of the year, we would just fantasize about a long break from the relentless drive of the daily grind. People are developing a puritanical culture which highly values time and punctuality, together with individualistic cultures which emphasize achievement over affiliation, helping to cultivate this time is money mindset. This creates an urgency to make every moment count, and in business and academic life, the principle of parsimony, that you should go for the argument and explanation with the fewest elements or assumptions, is widely accepted. Now, all what we can see is people surround themselves with Ahmad Khans, leading a complex and pseudo-comfortable life, having glittering careers, that leisuring squandering, money hoarding, grindstone nosing, frippery buying business, and appreciating pluralism. Then people start feeling overscheduled, which resulted from their chosen lifestyles and has turned pastimes into something so few and far between. Leisure time is now the stuff of myth, and it is pretty obvious that the more creature comforts people have, the poorer physical and mental well-being they enjoy. Social media are also a factor engendering certain complications. Ironically, these networking sites fail dismally to live up to their social nature. In fact, they are culminating in antisocial behaviors amongst millennials, those urban dwelling, ride sharing, indefatigable social networkers who are engaged, upbeat, and open minded to some, but are narcissistic, lazy, and self centered individuals with mostly fake online relationships to others. At this time, community, relationship, and marriage breakdown is inevitable. No more strong family ties, no more work commitments, and no more religious concord. No more religious concord. People now don't need to travel to far-flung locations to keep the out of sight, out of mind distance, because technology has already come in handy and afforded it to us and afforded it to us on a daily basis. This is not to mention the fact that the focus on marginalized groups has led to the competitive articulation of suffering on a global scale, transforming social media into breeding grounds for a culture of majority victimhood in which every group trumpets its grievances to gain petty empathy or meteoric rise to fame or stardom. Finally, and more worryingly, however, the emergence of such network services is also attributable to mounting nihilism amongst youngsters. Nothing really matters because nothing exists for any specific reason to them. Superficially, apathy is and apathy and nihilism are pretty much the same. But where apathy is, I don't care, nihilism is, I don't care, and neither should you. Or even more so, the outcome is the same whether we care or not. So, if if apathy is sitting on the couch all day, nihilism is setting your couch on fire. The proliferation of nihilist memes and thoughts on social media today has meant that viewing reality as fundamentally meaningless has become more widespread than ever before and has to some extent infiltrated day-to-day thinking amongst many of today's youth, thereby driving many of them to delay such life-changing events as marriages or childbearing. And it's nothing wrong to say that the growingly urbanized lifestyle per se is to blame for such complexities, causing people to feel ecologically tedious, reducing their contact with nature, and bombarding them with increasing doses of glamour, glitz, buzz, celebrity, hype, and excitement in cities. Students also have to confront the complexities of the modern world, where a combination or an accumulation of issues, including poor academic confidence, grave financial problems, struggles with work or family responsibilities, assessment points such as the first assignment and examinations, and significant external events like illness or a relationship breakdown might lead to their feeling lost and alienated within their vast cohorts, finding it frustrating and unlikely to widen their social circle and strike up conversations with their schoolmates as opposed to the past. The overwhelming range of pressures and demands on time, finance, family, society, work, and academic performance are likely to complicate the lives of grown-up students, generating unexpected negative outcomes like ineffective studies, poor school results, and health status, feelings of uneasiness, insecurity, depression, anxiety, alienation, and loss or feelings of inferiority. But well, again, it's worthwhile to take into consideration the next best things that modern life has to offer. Growing mass agitations against such old school and conservative philosophies and schools of thought as racial segregation, sexism, and homophobic attitudes are proving fruitful, causing these prejudices to gradually retreat. Now, emancipative values, viz., tolerance, feminism, individualism, capitalism, and free speech, are becoming more common Even in even in old-fashioned societies, to grant citizens the entitlements they should have had long time ago. The thing is, people seem to notice only the imperfections of the modern world, and by noticing only these shortcomings, they are apparently oblivious to the beautiful, wonderful, and stupendous order of incessant activities that is planned and designed by no one, yet works for the bountiful benefit of everyone. Ergo, I just want to add that there's more to life than subjective being, there's more to life than subjective well being or euphoria. And despite our dark imaginings and misgivings, life has been getting better in pretty much every way. And that is the end of my answer.